What's up, guys? Welcome back from the MLG studio here in New York City. You're watching WCS America Round of 16. Of course, apologies for the delay. Currently working on a PC issue with the STC. Of course, we're going to get started as fast as possible right by resuming from replay. Thank you so much for your patience. But I think we're going to have a little bit of a pseudo rules of engagement while we wait on the PC issues to get fixed.
Yeah, I mean, what we're doing is we're swapping out the PC, getting a new one. So it's going to take a couple minutes, but let's actually jump into the replay from their first map on game number 1 here. And we can see it was Star Station. And one of the cool moments, I think, is just how well every time STC did these pushes in, they were shut down so aggressively. And like right here, we can see these Widow Mines, all 5 of them in a very, very close area. And actually, when these 3 Banings come in here, they take out, 2 of the Widow Mines. The other 3 are very low life. And they all use their charges on just a few speedings. And now when the next wave comes in, all of a sudden, when there were 6 Widow Mines, there's really only 1. And all those Widow Mines get taken out. The 1 Widow Mine does what it can. I mean, it takes out actually 5, 6 speedlings. And imagine if all 6 Widow Mines took out 5 or 6 units. It basically, Moonglade would have no units. And there would still be Marines killing his 4th base. So this is kind of the theme of the game, is these attacks, Moonglade's control against the Widow Mines is so good. And, I mean, he's been so effective as far as, like, it's not cost even, but you're talking about dealing with Widow Mines and a Zerg who's been macroing aggressively. This type of unit loss ratio is perfectly happy for a Zerg, considering against the Reaper, Hellion damage early, and then those engagements normally turn out to be much, much more cost efficient than just something that looks relatively even. And then as we go forward, because that attack lost so much steam, the next attack now, there's only 3 Widow Mines again. And so again, Moonglade comes in here, Overseer takes out all 3 Widow Mines, and there's not even enough medevacs to save these few guys. They're taken apart away, and Moonglade has total map control. And this is what's awesome, is right here he says, okay, if I go into the natural, there's Widow Mines, there's a wall. My army will get bled out as I chase after him. And as this army kind of gets bled out, I'll just realize I've killed like 6 Marines and I'm losing all my units. So there's no way with the defense STC has, you can actually come in here and trade efficiently. It's impossible. With what he has, he can't trade efficiently. So he either runs away or he says, you know what?
That's a little exposed.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't technically cost efficient. He's losing a lot more than 400 resources. In fact, if it gets canceled, it doesn't get canceled. But still, he lost a lot more in 400 minerals. But it's a timing basically of now there's no 4th base, so it's not really 400 minerals.
That could be a command center in about 30 seconds that's making its way over to a 4th base,
and then
itself into a planetary or orbital command.
So you're hurting them the 400 minerals plus the 2 minutes of mining, which is a lot of money. And then again, this is what this whole game is about. These little attacks here, STC's coming in here, and you're just unable to really make these attacks happen. While there's drop play going on, Moonglade is always able to, maybe he takes some damage from the drop play. Maybe it's a little bit annoying, but the main thing is the main pushes, they're being shut down. They're not able to get anything done here. In fact, this one is so scary, just running away home because he realizes there's no Widow Mines in support. And so again, the drop's annoying. It's going to do some damage. In fact, it wasn't spotted there. So this drop, it's going to be annoying. The other drop on the left side, it's going to be annoying. But Moonglade always has so much poise, right? He deals with the drops fine. He doesn't freak out about, worrying about the drop too much. He says, okay, I noticed that medevac at the top left, right? I know it's somewhere there. I think an Overlord spotted this medevac on the left side as well. But what he wants to do is focus really all of his efforts on this top right army. If he can corner and take this army out, that's much more important than really defending the drop, as long as he does okay against it, right? I mean, even if he's not trading perfectly, the main deal is cornering and taking out this army, and that's exactly what he does here. He's got on the ropes, he loses the hatchery, but this army is going to be absolutely massacred here. Although this ramp is pretty tough, but the Banings get up there and doing good damage. And again, the drop here, it's annoying, but what he can use a couple drones, pull the rest.
The Baneling hits, Nick.
I'm sorry. Okay, how about this? Okay.
I just really wanted to see those Marines explode. You kind of built up to it. And
all right, there we go.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
We'll fast forward for this one again. Now we're going to slow it down. So here we see, yes, he's using 3 or 4 drones, but he's accomplishing this, right? All these guys dead. And now he pulled the drones, right? Now he goes through the drop, and then the drones go back to mining. The same thing, pulling the drones. He's losing 4 or 5 drones at every encounter, but 4 or 5 drones for being able to squash a Terran army and have these medevacs. They're lonely now, right?
Nothing to support.
Yeah, and that's what this whole game is about. is just always defending his mass attack so that, yes, he's not always mining off 4 bases, but he's always mining off 3, and then it's... What's happening is, in order, STC's trading a lot of marine lives in order to delay mining. And it's not really worth it. It would be worth it if STC was on 4 bases, because then it's like, okay, I'm out mining him. I can afford to trade the lives of my marines. But he hasn't been just because of that 4th command center died, and that was so important. Lone Marine trying to be annoying here. Again, another push, but there's only 6, 7 Widow Mines. 19-minute mark with these type of, max pushes, you either want to have Hellbat or tank support in addition to the Widow Mines, or you want to have a lot more than just a 6 or 7 Widow Mines. Because if you only have 6 or 7 and they're all so close to each other, watch what happens when these speedings get really annoying, right? He's going to wait for a few more banings. But as he skirmishes with this, look at what he does here, right? These banings are actually really important. Because what they do is they get close to the Widow Mines. And so what happened is he lost 6 banings, but he killed so many units. He triggered a lot of these Widow Mines. And now the next attack, there's only a couple Widow Mines ready. A lot of the Marines are already damaged. And he's able to push his attack back yet again. And this is just the story of the whole replay. We're about ready to start the next game, so we'll jump off the replay. But it was more the same for pretty much the whole story. Just every mid-game push.
Yeah.
Never even made it close to that 4th base.
And it all starts with that initial, I don't want to say throwing away, but that initial mishandling of that push towards that 4th base that Moonglade was able to take advantage of.
And just beautiful play by Moonglade. Every time his opponent mispositioned the Widow Mines, he knew when to send in banings to blow them up, when to send in speedings to take the hits. And then he got in a small advantage, or a mediocre advantage in the late game. Then his Ultras play was perfect, knowing... one thing a lot of Zerg players don't do enough of is they have a lot of Ultras and they sit around, right? And we've seen players lose from that because the Terran player takes like base after base after base, and then the Zerg's like, oh, it's split map late game, it's terrible. Moonglade, no. He says, I have Ultras. Maybe I won't trade super efficiently, but if I can kill a planetary, it's okay to lose some units because I continually deny the Terran expansions, and Ultras kill planetary. It's like nobody's business, man. And that was awesome to see.
Yeah, Moonglade playing a great game 1 there. And again, if you missed that game at all, if you missed any games today, youtube.com/official MLGSC2 is your source from every game, from WCS America. Again, full 1080p. All the games from yesterday are already there. And again, guys, remember to tune in every single day, Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for more action from WCS America Round of 16. Right now, we are currently in the middle of recovering the game. Of course, for those of you who don't know how this really works, we've remade the game essentially from the replay. And now we are on the loading screen where behind a splash page, the replay is currently running, times 8 speed, getting to the point that we want it to get to. And then from that point, the players are going to begin from where they left.
That's right. And of course, it's behind this hidden splash page, so the players don't see the map or anything crazy like that.
Yep.
That's the difference between there's a take command feature, which is different. That's where everyone sees the replay and you pick. The recover game, no one sees anything they're not supposed to. So there's no crazy secret advantages. There's no one who has extra information. And it looks like the game is about to be ready. All right. It's set up at the 12-minute and 20-second mark. So this is about 15 seconds from when we actually had all the problems, just to, give each player a couple seconds because they were probably messing up. And 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
Countdown has begun. Let's get into the game. Here we are at that so important point, 12:20. We're talking about what were the intentions of Moonglade. And again, his supply blocked 142 out of 142, and there you see the 5 overloads in production.
So he recognized, when it was paused, he was probably staring at that saying, I guess I could use some more supply. And also hitting the Hydra speed upgrade instantly, so not missing any of his timings. That's nice to see.
How hard is it to keep your mind wrapped into what was happening after such a long space in between this time?
You really have to prioritize. You have to know like the 3 things you really want to do and just do those immediately. And Moonglade does that excellently. Now STC moving out forward. Oh, the Queen's butt.
This is kind of dangerous. It's a bit of an anti-time.
He doesn't have enough medevacs to pick up all the units. Oh, no, he doesn't. There's only 2 medevacs. Roaches have speed. Luckily, the Hydras don't quite yet, and he's a little bit afraid to go off creep.
Yeah.
So. But basically, he used the stim for effectively nothing there, which just means a little bit less medevac energy. It's not a big deal. He did see the Hydra, so we should know exactly the time he's dealing with.
By the way, STC supply blocked 5 supply depots.
No.
In production.
He wasn't prioritizing his actions off the pause, like Moonglade was.
Yeah.
Moonglade knew he needed those depots. So Moonglade needs to move across the map and attack though right now. If you're on Ro16 and Terran Max is out, you don't have Infestor or Viper support, you're just kind of dead. And he's not actually going for this timing, and Terran 2-2 is finishing. This is actually...
yeah, he's making drones, he's an infestation put on the way, making static D.
He's not going for that timing the Koreans' favor, but STC's moving on the map at a time when Moonglade has a superior army on the field right now.
He's dealing with the drop right now that's headed right into the natural expansion. A Widow Mine dropped, as well as some Marine Spore Crawlers going to take out the medevac and, of course, provide vision of that Widow Mine. The drones are actually going to be forced to engage here, as Moonglade going to be engaging the middle of the map here. Roaches and Hydras engaging the Marines and Marauders. STC backing away, just trying to keep Moonglade from retreating back to deal with that drop. Oh no, the Widow Mine!
No!
Oh no, the Widow Mine!
Oh, it only, okay,
that
only
wasn't
got one Hydra.
for
Not,
Moonglade.
yeah.
STC was hoping for a little bit more there, perhaps.
I mean, the Widow Mine's still cost efficient.
Yeah, of
just because it's a Widow Mine.
But, I mean, whenever a situation like that happens, as a Terran, you're going to want to kill like 12 drones.
He has a lot of Widow Mines. There are 2 overseers with the army, so as long
So,
as...
what are the differences dealing with these? Of course, Ling Bailing versus Roach Hydra.
You know, so it's actually an interesting idea. So, Roach Hydra, you're never going to get absolutely slaughtered by Widow Mines, just because your units aren't going to be going as far forward, so they won't hit like a big circular area. It'll just hit like 3 or 4 units. But it also means it's almost impossible to be super efficient. Like speedings, you can have, you know, a couple speedings take a bunch of Widow Mine hits, and all of a sudden it's super efficient. Each Roach Hydra is so much more important that even if it only hits 1, it's actually already paid for itself. So it's very hard to be cost efficient with Roach Hydra, but it's also, you're not going to like immediately lose the game from 1 explosion like you could with Bacons.
Drops continuing to happen here from STC. Also drop, 3-3 is about 40% of the way done. Meanwhile, the Hive just now beginning from Moonglade. So as this game goes along, STC is going to start gaining an upgrade advantage. Remember, a little bit earlier, during the pause, Moonglade had that upgrade advantage. So just like that, STC able to turn that around.
Oh, Moonglade's got to figure out how to break the mine. The mines are keeping his army back. STC's cutting to the left.
Oh, he's kind of isolating them.
But he wants to guard the mines, but meanwhile, a small squad is going to this left side.
All right, STC is everywhere. There's a scan trying to identify his opponent's unit. Obviously going to be kiting away. The Overseer's trying to get a vision, but the Overseer's getting taken out, which means no vision of the Widow Mines. Decent shot off there onto the Hydras. Meanwhile, we have a drop heading into that location on the left-hand side. Queens desperately going to try to hold, but STC slowly but surely, you know, maneuvering his way across the map, setting up those Widow Mines in perfect locations.
The Queens hold. Oh, but there's more coming. Just as the Queens hold the small attack, more STC sends a full army.
The Widow Mines are kind of isolated there. The Hydra's trying to take care of those. The drop heading straight to that base, straight into that expansion on the left-hand side, and the Widow Mines getting cleaned up. But it looks like Moonglade is going to lose his hatchery.
He's going to lose the hatchery. He killed all the Widow Mines, though. I think that might be worth it. He really needs to get some Infestors and or Vipers on the field. Yeah, he's got an amazing bank. And now he's got to use that on tech units. He's got a nice amount of Hydras, and they're dropping it naturally. He shouldn't clear that up without too much of a problem. A single submerged is going there. There are the 4 Infestors. That's what we're waiting for. When you go Roach Hydra, you do want to add in those tech units as the game progresses. He has Hive Tech as well, so we could get 3-3. He could start getting the melee upgrades for a potential Ultra switch later in the game.
Honestly, also no reason not to get a bunch of static D right now, I feel.
Yes.
I mean, he has
so much minerals.
3,500 minerals. You can even make a wave of drones if you want, but use those drones on making that static D, preserving your existing economy, and of course, negating the effectiveness of these continued drops from the STC that are definitely not going to be stopping. STC, meanwhile, going up to 4 bases, setting up a planetary fortress, kind of launching himself towards his opponent, kind of creating himself a pivoting point as this game goes along.
Moonglade's going to have a really hard time denying these bases until he does something like what you said, add a lot of stack defense, and also needs more tech units. It's pretty hard to break a concave if the Darren Bio is set up well with just Hydras.
Oh, cancel.
If he can actually clear out this whole army, though, it may be worth it. Very cost-efficient trade there by Moonglade, even though he lost hatchery. Another push in from STC, really trying to keep the creep back, which is so important in the TVZ matchup.
Yeah, we saw how out of control Moonglade could get with that creep, if not kept at bay. So great prioritization there by the STC. Moonglade turning around with his Hydras, trying to find that cost-efficient engagement that he needs. Again, he has all these units in the field.
Be careful. Okay, good. Just 1 Hydra dying for 3. That's a good trade.
Yep.
And STC's been backing off the Widow Mines. They're not quite as useful against Roach Hydra. They're not terrible, but he's adding a lot more factories, and he's switching over to tank production. And this is something that, if Moonglade recognizes this, he can add into Vipers. He's already Hive Tech, and there would be a great counter. But if he doesn't, and all of a sudden there's 7 tanks, and there's no Vipers, 7 tanks with, of course, Bio in front of it, is going to be very difficult. Like, tanks just absolutely slaughter Roach Hydra. I mean, Roach Hydra are basically worse versions of Marines in TBT tanks beat Marines. So
another drop there by the STC. Again, relentless with that aggression. Moonglade sending his entire army to the bottom right to deny that base. Meanwhile, STC poking out a little bit.
That's a big engagement.
Oh, he's going to try to go for it, but a nice concave there from Moonglade and a lot of infestors
But
again.
as he chases forward, the concave will go into favor of the Terran player. Moonglade doesn't want to overextend.
For the Bungles. The Changeling's actually trying to prevent the retreat. Bungles might go down here from Moonglade. He needs them to be good, and they are decent. They're nailing a lot of the Marines' Marauders. Still a lot of Widow Mines on the ground. Overseers, have they all been picked off? That might be a little bit problematic as Moonglade continues forward again. He can kind of afford to do this. He has a massive bank. Needs to be at least a little bit cost-efficient, heading straight into that 4th base location. And it looks like all the Widow Mines have been taken care of, so he should be able to kill those without too much trouble.
Oh, the 4th is a planetary, though, and SCVs can repair. He's got to fungal the SCVs or...
Oh, the infestors! Oh, with 2 getting taken out, I don't think that's going to be enough, and Moonglade is going to have to back away. Also behind that, losing his 4th base, that same drop, heading towards his 3rd, nailing down some Hydras that are popping out of those eggs. But STC continuing to do a great job, but we're seeing a lot more Hydras in production here from Moonglade, also adding in 7 additional Overlords. Something that's continuing to happen is he's making these Overseers, but then the Overseers are dying. So he's having to remake Overlords as this game continues.
Oh, and at the bottom right is Mule time. A hidden base by the STC is just slamming down Mule after Mule. This is something, ideally Moonglade would have Speedlings patrolling or an Overlord at each of those locations. Moonglade now starting to add into Vipers. He's recognized his opponent is going more tank heavy. Vipers are amazing against tanks, so you really want to crank out those Vipers. You also want to keep the Infestor count up, so you need Infestors and Vipers, and that's what he's doing. But he only has 1 Viper. I think he wants to have 3 or 4 because there's going to be a lot of siege tanks. But wait, STC's pushing forward before he actually has all the siege tanks out. He's pushing forward with 3. He's got 4 more back at home rallying out. But if Moonglade fights right now, this is a small army from STC. He could be overextending.
STC really wanting to deny these additional bases, setting up the Widow Mines. Infested Terrans going down, that could be a great way to negate the Widow Mine play. Moonglade coming forward from 2 different locations, but it looks like STC has enough to deal with that. Hard to come down that ramp. Meanwhile, splitting off some units, taking down a lot of drones at that 4th base location, and he's going to deny that as well. STC playing this beautifully so far.
He absolutely is. Moonglade down to 3 bases. That's not where you want to be. He's going to need to take some beautiful engagements to get back in this game. His bank is done. And because STC's on 5 bases, he's just getting more and more and more income behind us. The tanks are there's 4 now. There's 2 more coming in. There's going to be 6 in this engagement.
Oh, here he comes forward. Moonglade needs the fungals. Good shots onto the Marines and Marauders. Needs the Blinding Clouds on the tanks, and he does get them. Can these Hydras do enough damage to take out this army from the STC? Moonglade in a situation where he can't rebuild as fast as he could a little bit earlier. He needs to be crazy cost efficient, but STC just has way too much. And again, STC just added on 4 more command centers, turning a lot of them into orbital commands. And he's looking so good in this game.
It's a war of attrition that Moonglade just can't win. He doesn't have the economy. He only has 1 mining base now. His natural main has been mined out. He's trying to defend his last mining base, and he's just being put through the meat grinder. STC's reinforcements are just being cranked out in massive quantities. And, I mean, even if he can hold this small wave here to
just reinforcements chilling back home.
Yeah,
waiting to come out.
So many Terran units. And trying to break this tank line without a good count of Vipers is very painful, too.
And it's only about 4 tanks to imagine as the STC is making 3 tanks at a time. So getting a ridiculous combination. Moonglade barely going to be holding off that attack, or at least clean up that attack. But the story is going to be reinforcements here. You know, what is Moonglade's reinforcement potential compared to the STC? Well, STC is still maxed. That's the best way to describe that.
Moonglade's trying to put on a counterattack, knowing that as the game goes on, he doesn't have the economy to continue playing any longer. He's running back to the Widow Mine field.
Oh, where's the
They're on cooldown. Oh, but they're going to get out of cooldown, right? Are they going to...
Shot should go off, right? Oh, wow.
No,
those drones
just... Yeah, drones got hit. But another push from STC, a very small army, so Moonglade can probably deal with this. But if he's forcing his spellcasters to use their energy once he really summons the full army... Oh, here come the SCVs.
SCVs being pulled to potentially tank some damage to even repair the SCVs. And, of course, he doesn't really need those. Again, he has a bazillion orbital commands back home. So not too surprising at all to see him throw away some of those SCVs. But Moonglade's in a situation that is just so difficult. And there's the GG. STC takes game number 2. And he's going to even up the series at 1-1, a game that started off pretty well for Moonglade. It seemed like he was setting up for that Roach Hydra attack.
And then he never did it.
And he never did it.
Yeah. And so it was fine to not do it, but I think he needed to get a few more of those Infestors and Vipers out a little bit earlier. Vipers are really great against a drop play to prevent the Terran from being so annoying. So you can use those abducts to snag those medevacs. Or, of course, the big theme, like in that first game they had, the big theme was the fourth was never touched by Moonglade.
Yeah.
The hatchery never even took a shot pretty much the entire game. And this game, the fourth was never up for more than about 30 seconds because it was always down to drops. He couldn't, maybe, like you said, he had all those minerals at one point, maybe building 5 spines and 3 spores. It's expensive, but you know what? It's cheaper than never mining from the fourth base.
Exactly. And it's like, whenever you're trying to be aggressive with Roach Hydra, there's nothing really, again, if you don't have that static, to stop the Terran player from swinging around with a drop or some sort of Marine Marauder force to take down that hatchery, because you're asking your Roach Hydra composition to potentially try to retreat back to deal with that. That can be very difficult, especially when there's medevacs hitting your natural, hitting your main base. A Roach Hydra, it's a composition where, you know, I feel like you really have to have that static D. Or
you do. And one of the reasons you said is he had to retreat the Roach Hydra back to natural.
Yeah.
When he does that, he gives up the central map control. And if you can't control the center of Whirlwind, your opponent always has a shorter path to your 4th base. And it's a general rule in Whirlwind, you can't hold 4 bases unless you have the middle, or you can threaten a base race. And you can't threaten a base race with Roach Hydra. So you just can't have 4 bases unless you have the middle, which means Roach Hydra has to be in the middle. Yep. You can't have it chasing drops.
All right, guys, the series is now tied 1-1. Kudos the STC, playing a great game number 2. Just relentless with the aggression, playing Whirlwind absolutely perfectly, like you said, identifying his opponent's playstyle, and keeping his composure after the pause. Guys, we're going to have the last game of the night coming your way. Of course, it's a game that's going to decide who's going to advance to the round of 8 of WCS America. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be back with more StarCraft action after a quick break.